24th July 2024. This is another log for my recent experiences in meditation and out-of-body practices. There has been 3 new experiences since my last log. And this time I learned that the ear pulsations are almost like dial tones, that when we press the number, there is a sudden tone. And when we release, pressing the number, the tone is not there anymore. So there is a tone, or in the pulsation, there is a sudden increase in the volume of overall perceiving of the sound. Then it goes back to normal volume, and again after some time, there's another pulse, and another pulse, and another pulse. If the volume increase was 4 dB, let's say, so a pulse 4 dB up, then immediately down, back to its normal volume, and another pulse 4 dB up without the volume getting back down. And when that happens, I now know that I can get out of body. So I got out of the body, and it was actually a dream conversion because I heard the pulsations inside a dream. And this room was in Kathmandu, Nepal, where we used to live until I was about 15 years of age or so. There was a window at my right side, and as soon as I started hearing the pulsation, I became aware that I could get out. And as soon as the connection was established with the pulsations, I stopped whatever I was doing. Then I turned towards the window and jumped out. This was still inside the dream. As I jumped out, I started saying, I want to see my guides, I want to see my guides. Momentarily, I became unconscious, and I was in my room where I was sleeping physically. I was sitting on my bed, and I could see a person sitting on the window. And it was strange because this time, this person I could see very clearly had a humanoid form, and the light was adjusted so that my vision can see clearly. Because so far, when I called for my guides, it has been that 2 of them have a highly masculine character, and they are shadow beings, or they appear shadow. It may be my unprepared vision, or it could be that they are outside of the visible spectrum that I can perceive. So, shadow beings. And one of them have been a light being, and so much light that it made the room glow, and I could only make sense of the form, the humanoid form that she had. And then there was music. And this one, the recent one, there was no music, and she was totally perceivable as a human female that would be in the room, and I'd see and recognize her as a human. So it was very clear to me. That's what I want to say. So the seeing was very clear to me as I understand it, as a human being, I guess. Anyways, I asked her, do I know you? And she said, of course you do. But in my mind, I didn't know her. I didn't recognize her. Actually, when she was at the window and I asked her, do I know you? The answer came in my mind. At first I thought, what's this? I don't understand. Why is the answer appearing in my mind? But soon it was clear that this was a form of telepathy. And I said, but even if I had known you, I have forgotten everything, because we have what we call spiritual amnesia, and we forget everything. She understood that, and I asked her, why can't I have full conscious control of my out-of-body states? Or why do I forget the things that I wanted to do when I'm out of my body? And I asked her that because this has been my case, that when I get out of my body, I put a series of objectives in my affirmations, and I perform the first objective, and then I just get excited by things I see. I start exploring, and then I totally forget about the objectives. Then she asked me to lie down on my belly. I lay down, and she took both of my hands like that from my back, stretched it a little bit, and she put the hands down. Then she gently brushed her hand on my back, and I could feel something moving inside me, but it was not as strong, and that I could feel uneasy. It was very gentle. When the shadow beings did that, it was almost uneasy, the feeling. But when she did something on my back, it was very gentle, and yet I could feel something moving inside. Then she asked me, how does it feel now? And I didn't understand because I had asked, how can I have a conscious control, or how can I raise my energy? And she did something and asked me, how does it feel now? I thought, okay, it doesn't make sense, but it feels all right. Then I sat on bed and then I was looking at her. I realized she had heterochromia. It's a condition of the eye where a person has different colors on each eye. Then I got a bit interested and I approached her, and then I wanted to see the eye. I got close and I saw that the eyes were not as we humans have. It looked like crystals, both of them, but with different colors on each eye. Plus, within these different colors, there were spectrums of further more colors. And I was just looking at those colors and then just getting mesmerized. I heard a very loud motorbike pass by from the window of my bedroom, and at that moment I knew that I was going to get back to my body, and I was saying no 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 no, but I got back anyways. And after that, the other experience happened day before yesterday. I arrived early in the morning to the studio and I decided to meditate about an hour. And after that, I went to work. And then about 2 p.m., I was free again. So I decided to meditate again and went inside the studio, lay on a beanbag, and started meditating 1 hour into the meditation. And I started feeling ear pulsations. Then I got excited. And I also thought I shouldn't be so much excited that I completely get out of this experience. So I relaxed myself and let myself fall kind of asleep, but also hoping that I'd get out. And sure enough, the connection was established and the ringing of my ears was continuous. Then I decided to just get up. I got up and the room was just dark. Also, naturally, the room was dark because it's inside the studio, but also in my outer body vision, it was dark. I got out, I was walking a little bit inside the room. So I went out of the room and walked by the corridor, and I was actually looking for a window so that I could see if I could see anything. I approached the window, but I couldn't see anything. I could feel that the window is there. I could feel the corridor, where to walk, what direction to take. Everything was there in the mind vision, but not like seeing with my physical eyes. Then I was back in my body again. Then I got out again, and then I thought, okay, that didn't work. Now let's rise up. And I started rising up, and I could feel passing through the ceiling of the studio. And as soon as I got out of that, I was back in my body again. So like that, I tried a few times to get out and experiment different things, and each time it would just be this blackness and nothing new going on. And in one attempt, I got out, and then I heard a music, and that music was from a band I know from my childhood. I thought this is strange because that was strange for me to hear that music. And after a few trials, nothing was happening really. So I realized I'm gonna be back into my body. And then as soon as I had that realization, I was back in my body. So that had gotten me excited because that was the first time I got out of body in meditation in school. So after that, I got excited that I can get out of body while meditating in school. So I came to school early in the morning yesterday as well, and I went to studio and then started my meditation. Well, nothing. That was about an hour of meditation, nothing happened. So I continued with my day, and then around 12 that I decided to try again. So I went down to the studio and then lay on the beanbag, started meditating. 2 hours passed, nothing. So I thought, okay, that is just enough for today. Around 5 p.m., I left for my apartment and meditated about 40 minutes. Then I lay down on my bed and started repeating my affirmations, out of body now, and I meet my guides. Then I fell asleep and woke up after 2 hours or so, and then I went back to sleep again. And around midnight, I started to have ear pulsations again. Then, when the connection was established, I got out of my bed. It was all dark, I couldn't see anything. like physical eyes, but I could make sense of what's where. So I walked towards the window. I opened the window and I jumped out of window, and still everything was dark. Then I was feeling that I was gonna get back to the body. So what I did was I tried to crawl down from the wall, first not believing that it would work, then after seeing that it works, confirming myself that I'm out of body, and I was climbing down holding the water pipe like Spider-Man. That somehow brought my full awareness to that state. I was out, then I jumped, and then I held some branches of the tree, and I could see some people walking around. I was also trying to shake the branch of the tree. Then soon I was back in my body. Then I tried to get out again, and I did get out. But this time, the orientation of my bed was correct, but the room was a little bigger than my actual room, and also very minimal room with very less objects. Just one bed and one long chair or wide chair, maybe one small table and nothing else. And I got up out of bed and it was still dark in that space. I started to go out. Then I realized that the exit is right in front of me, which is definitely not the case in my apartment. Then I felt that I was being pulled back to my body. So as I was back in my body, I got up again, and still it was the same room, same space. I got out of the room, and then I saw somebody changing something in the room, and I looked back, and there were buckets of water. Strange, because this room is leaking, and here we have buckets of water. And this experience was last night. Okay, anyways, that just clicked in my mind. So there were buckets of water, and a freeze door was just taken out completely. And then I went to fix the freeze door. Then I was about to go out of the room. I suddenly realized there's somebody in the room. I looked back and saw my tutor there for some reason, so we just started to have a chat. And I was pretty sure I was out of body, and he was pretty sure that I was not. So I tried to make a test, and I pinched my hand, and it didn't hurt. Then I thought, okay, this could be still the physical, but let me do another test. Then I hit the wall, and it didn't hurt me at all. I thought, well, I'm out of my body, and then this is here, and we are here, and probably you are not real, but or you are real, I'm not sure, but I am definitely out of my body. As I said that, I got completely back in my body, and I tried again to get out. And I got out, and he was not there at this time, so I got out of the room, and then I saw what I had seen in my dreams previously in my childhood: multiple sun and moon in the sky. There was first a moon rising, and I could see, and it was a very, very clear moon and bigger than it actually is. Then, for some reason, I called my tutor that I had seen earlier, and he was there back again. And we both saw this moon rising, and then we also realized there are other objects in the sky, spherical glass-like objects, to at least two sun I could see, and a moon in different parts of the sky. Then this was a pretty interesting phenomenon, and I was just mesmerized watching this whole thing in such clarity. Then I had a funny thought that I'll just go up and then watch the moon from outside of the planet. And I was trying to attempt that. I got back in my body, and I tried again to get out, and I got out again in the same space. And this time there were my cousins. All of them were somehow just there. I don't know how. But anyways, I told them we are out of our bodies and we can go check out the sky. There's a very nice moon we can see and other stuff. I want to go up out of the planet and then observe the moon. And first they said it's not possible, and I said it is possible, let's try to do that. We got out, we all held our hands, and then I said, okay, on the count of three we jump and we rise up. We did jump and we started to rise up, and since all of us were holding hands, I couldn't point where I wanted to go, so we're just rising up and then started to flow diagonally towards the sky, not straight vertically up, but at an angle. And I didn't care. I just wanted to go up. And then soon we passed through a big structure, something like either a building or a mountain. It was on my back, so I was not clearly seeing what that was, but I knew that we were gonna impact on that object or go through. So we went through the object, and suddenly there was a strange feeling. Everything was completely dark, and we were all holding our hands together. And I was telling them not to be afraid, just keep on holding the hands, don't let go of the hands, and it will pass over soon. But I could really feel that there was this very strong sensation of vibration going on throughout the whole space that we were in. And although we couldn't see it, this vibration almost was starting to trigger fear, but I knew back in my mind somehow that it couldn't harm us. And sure enough, it didn't harm us. We were immediately then back in the same room. Then I started to think, this is interesting, let's try this again. And one of my cousins said he found it interesting as well. Others said they don't want to do this again. So this cousin and me, we went out the room and outside, and then we held our hands together. Then we jumped. This time, since I had one hand free, I was pointing direction where I want to go. So I was pointing, take us up. And we were rising up, and at some point it would go in a different direction, but I'd say keep going up, straight up. And I saw something pass through the sky, and it was radiating, very beautifully radiating different colors in pulsations, series of pulsations as it passed by. It was almost like satellite, but it was radiating and it was moving very fast. That caught my attention for some time. Then I looked at different objects on the sky or in the sky, and then slowly we started to move again at an angle. And this time I thought, okay, even if it's at an angle, we're gonna go out anyways, since we're rising. So let's keep on going. Then I saw that we were coming across a hill, and we somehow saw different objects, cylindrical objects, coming down and crashing on to the buildings. I didn't understand that at first. I thought it's something different, something weird for sure, but I didn't understand what was happening. I still don't understand what is happening. But anyways, we saw those objects coming down and then crashing onto the buildings. We stopped on a rooftop, and then we started to see what was happening. Then there were other cylinders coming down from the sky and then hitting those buildings there. Then from one of these cylinders, I saw green people, very weird. Green people this time. Not shiny, but fairly bright. Then I looked around and saw on the roof of one building a woman who also was green, but then she immediately changed into looking like humans when I noticed her. So I was seeing her like up there, and then suddenly another green man came from behind. I turned back and then I saw him, and he was about to do something with his hand. So I held his hand, and he was pulling us towards something, like forcefully trying to pull us towards something. Then I was also trying to exert my force and try to pull him towards me. While we were doing this, I suddenly remembered something, that I am somehow related with this, that I had memories of this while I was a child, and something to do with feeling different, feeling not belonging on this planet, or something like that. I don't know. But there was this feeling that I recognize them, I know them, but there was no fear when this pulling and pushing was going on. I did not have any fear. My cousin didn't have any fear. And they for sure didn't have any fear because they were right at us. Then I started to feel a gentle pull on a bit to right side from my third chakra, Manipur chakra. As that happened, I knew that I was going to get back. And then I also thought, I know this, but how do I know this? People, these green people. And then I was completely back in my body. Again, it felt like waking up state to waking up state. And I woke up totally and started recording my experience on my phone. So my thoughts around my recent experiences is that with each experience in the dark space, I do not mean dark space anything negatively. It's just I can't see anything. But if I start to move around, I can feel objects here, this object there, and so on. And I can move around and then find my way. That has been reiterated or repeated again and again. And now I know that we don't necessarily need a physical like vision. We can still move around with sensing, let's say, mental sensing. I'd say, I don't know. Another thing I learned is how to ground myself while I'm out of body so that I don't get back immediately to my physical body. One way is to rotate around, and this was from my previous experience. Another is to call clarity now, which has not worked so much for me recently. Sometimes it does wonderfully, but most of the times it doesn't work. So I just have to find another unique ways. And the recent one from yesterday was just start to sense different object. I had learned about this with a video from Michael Raduga on YouTube. Palpate different objects around the room, and this was palpating object outside of my room, and it worked. So this was the other learning for me, that I can just start to explore whenever there is darkness or nothing that I can see. I probably should start exploring that immediate area and start to move around and then palpate everything with my hands. And guides always are there, but they don't always show up in same form, or maybe they will show up again and then I'll find that they do show up in same form. But there are not always just one guide, but there are multiple guides, and they have multiple purposes. They have multiple skills, let's say, and they help us uniquely with their own style of helping. And another thing was just multiple moons and sun and different objects floating or flying in the sky, and some objects radiating brilliantly, very colorful, things like that, which has been in my dreams during my growing up in this human form, I'd say. So there are patterns, and again, with each pattern, I just get more questions. With each experience, I have more questions, and let's say after about 30 questions, I get answer for one with repeated experience. But I'm definitely excited to have more experience and learn more about this different states of consciousness. Okay, and see you after next experience.